Hey, what's up guys, my name is Anthony, and in today's video I'm going to be doing one of those videos that I've been doing recently where I talk about the real life F1 as I play F1 2020. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button, as it does help the algorithm push it to other people like yourselves. Now you might be wondering, hold on, why isn't the audio actually synced with the gameplay? Well, I actually recorded the intro and the outro to this video live. However, my dumbass actually forgot to unmute the mic. So yeah, that's why we're in the conundrum that we're in right now. But as you can see from the intro, we're going to be using George Russell for this one. I've got a few mods that I've installed. However, not all of the cars actually ended up changing, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'll try and figure it out for a future video. And we're going to be doing very wet conditions in this one. I was reminded of the Styrian Grand Prix last year, and I remembered qualifying in those conditions, and I really wanted to do a race in those conditions with George Russell's car based on what happened last week as well. So we're going to be doing that. Hopefully we have some fun with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and then I'm going to do a post commentary, so you won't see any talking live. Everything's going to be done after the fact. But yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this sort of format of the video. If you do, let me know in the comments. If you don't, then let me know in the comments as well, and let me know why, and I'll see you guys once we actually get to the race. So yeah, here we are at the start of the race, and when it comes to strategies and full wet conditions, I'm sure a lot of you guys know by now, but if you don't, in full wet conditions, you don't actually have to do a pit stop, so we can do this entire race without going into the pits, which is what pretty much me and the entire grid do. And we're going to be underfueling the cars just simply because it is in wet conditions. You're going to be running and lean quite a lot, so you will be able to save fuel. You don't need to put a lot of it in. So let's get straight into my thoughts about the previous weekend, and then we can sort of move on to what my thoughts are going to be going into this weekend, which, as you guys probably know, since it's the same track, it's going to be roughly the same anyway. But yeah, I was actually surprised by this race, and not necessarily in a good way. Obviously I thought that the French Grand Prix was actually better than this race. Now you can't always have great races, which is why some of the great races are seen as classics. Obviously not every single race is going to be amazing. I did assume that the Austrian GP, or the Styrian GP, whichever one you want to call it, was actually going to be, at least a little bit more entertaining in terms of, wheel-to-wheel battling and stuff like that. But the French GP was actually better, in my opinion, compared to this race. It seems as if, the Red Bull and Mercedes fight is really going into the favors of Red Bull. Red Bull have really developed a good car this year, and it seems as if they've actually swapped places with Mercedes last year as well. So they're definitely going to be the strongest car moving on through this season, and with the way that Max is driving at the moment, I definitely think those two in combination are going to be very, very deadly. And I think Toto even mentioned himself that the Styrian Grand Prix that we had this weekend was the first time in the hybrid era. Now, I've only been watching F1 since 2019, and the hybrid era started in 2014. So that is what, about 7 years of racing, and for the first time in 7 years, the Mercedes team have actually felt as if they've not had a car quick enough to win the race, which is just completely nuts. It just shows how dominant they've been in the turbo hybrid era. So to see that they've actually finally gotten to a point where they feel as if another car is too quick for them, it really does show how much development and how much dedication the Red Bull team have put into actually getting into this championship battle, which is exactly what you want to see from other teams. You want to see that competitiveness, and it seems as if since Ferrari's incident with their engine, they've just not really been able to claw their way back up to that position, whereas Red Bull, they've really taken that position, that second place position, and they've been working on it, and now it actually seems as if they're the top dog. Obviously they say that Mercedes have the quicker race pace sort of car compared to Red Bull, but you look at some of these races and clearly it doesn't really seem that race pace matters too much when you actually compare the two cars. It really just boils down to who can get that track position, and then who can actually make the strategy work. I think Max did Max do a two-stop in this, or did he? No, he did a one-stop. It was France that he did the two-stop at. So yeah, the Red Bull car, they're able to clearly manage the tires very well. They've got Sergio Perez, who's running in that second or that other Red Bull seat, whichever one you want to call it, and because of his ability to really keep those tires going for as long as possible, it's really put Red Bull in that really strong position. And I definitely think throughout the rest of the season, since development's not really going to be a main factor for the season, that Red Bull are going to be the strongest car moving forward. There might be some tracks where Mercedes might be quicker, but I think overall Red Bull definitely have the better package. And Max, speaking of Max, you know, he's been driving out of his skin. He's been in such good form. And a lot of people, as soon as Max started driving well, they assumed that it was because Lewis was driving bad. And that's not the case in my opinion. I definitely think that Lewis has still been driving at his insane level. It's just Max has leveled up so much over the course of this year that he's actually making Lewis look bad. But Lewis, I don't think he's driving that bad, because you see some of the races that he's done and you compare it to Valtteri Bottas, where Valtteri Bottas has made some mistakes under that pressure from Sergio Perez, and you realize that Lewis has actually been giving Max a run for his money. So I definitely think that Lewis is still driving to the level that you would expect Lewis to drive at. It's just Max has been in such great form for the past couple of races that he's actually made Lewis look bad. And speaking of the other two drivers for the two teams, Sergio Perez, he's really been doing exactly what Red Bull's been needing. I've said this multiple times, and I said it in my F1 2021 predictions video as well, so you can always go and check that out by clicking the link at the top right hand side of the screen. All Red Bull really needed was a second driver that can really push Valtteri Bottas. Sadly, Alex Albon wasn't really able to do that when he was in the Red Bull seat, and nor was Pierre Gasly. They weren't really able to push that car to its limits and be able to challenge Valtteri Bottas, or in Pierre Gasly's case, I think the Ferraris were still pretty competitive at that point as well, so challenging the Ferraris as well. Whereas Sergio Perez, he's come in and he said, you know, give me roughly 4 or 5 races and I'll get confident with the car. Once I get confident with the car, you're going to be seeing big things from me. And that's exactly what he has done. That's exactly what we're seeing from him. After the 4th, 5th race, you could really see that Sergio Perez has stepped up his game. He's gotten comfortable with the car, and clearly getting comfortable with the car, being comfortable with the tyres, is very important in F1, more important than I actually realised. Obviously, me being a new fan, as I've said, or a newer fan, as I've said multiple times, it's not really something I've considered. And if you look at Fernando Alonso, it really just puts home how incredible you can be once you've actually gotten used to the car, once you've actually gotten used to how the tyres work. He didn't really start this season off very strong, but ever since he felt that he's been comfortable with how the tyres work, he's been putting in those performances, and he's been doing a lot better than I expected him to as well. You know, there's people who have done a lot better than I've expected him to, and people who have done a lot worse than I expected him to, in name Daniel Ricciardo. So maybe he's not really able to get comfortable with the car, or maybe he's not able to get comfortable with the tyres as well, because I don't know if a lot of you guys do know this, but there has been a change to the tyre pressures regulations from Pirelli. I don't know exactly how much that will have affected the cars, but from what I've seen, from what the commentators were saying, it potentially can actually affect it quite much. The Ferraris, for example, they've mentioned those guys a couple of times when it comes to these new tyre pressure regulations or whatever it is that's been changed. It seems as if Ferrari's not really been able to step up. However, in that previous race, Ferrari did very, very well. Charles Leclerc, definitely the quickest driver on the track, in my personal opinion, on that day, excluding Max, obviously, because Max was just above everyone else. But other than Max, Charles Leclerc was definitely the fastest man on track overall, in my opinion. He just cut through that field as if it wasn't even there. It was insane to see, and obviously he made a few mistakes throughout the race. I think he had contact with Kimi Räikkönen, and he also had contact with Pierre Gasly. He was actually the reason why Pierre Gasly ended up having to retire. And yeah, just seeing his pace, and just I remember Nico Rosberg saying that he had tunnel vision during his first race at Bahrain, and I genuinely think that Charles Leclerc experienced that in this race. He had that tunnel vision where literally every input he made was absolutely perfect, and he was able to just get the maximum out of that Ferrari car, because he was way down the field. So to finish not that far behind his teammate, who had a decent race himself, just shows just how on the money Charles Leclerc was during that race. But yeah, moving on to the next sort of subject I wanted to talk about, and it's time to start the tears, because it's George Russell. And honestly, I was so devastated when I seen what happened with George Russell. I don't know what it is. It seems as if that Williams seat is cursed for him. Whenever he's in a position to gain some points and actually finally get those World Drivers' Championship points in that car. Something always seems to happen. A lot of the time, admittedly, it is his own fault. For example, I can't remember what track it was. It was in 2020. I think it might have been Baku or something like that. I can't remember. But one of the tracks, he had the opportunity to actually be in the points, and he was behind the safety car and he spun behind the safety car. So it's little things like that. He's ruined it himself. But then you get situations like this and you just feel so devastated, because that first stint from George was mad, especially in that Williams car. I'm sorry, but in that Williams car, it is way better than it was in 2019, but you should not be putting incidents like that in that Williams car, in my personal opinion, with how it currently is relative to the rest of the grid. So yeah, the fact that he managed to put in a stint like that, just to have the car basically shut down on him, and I think it is because he's just out driving that car just way beyond his capabilities, that maybe the car just can't handle just exactly how quick he's driving it. Maybe, I have no idea, but either way, I'm devastated for him. Latifi just wasn't able to get off the ground in that race. I don't even remember where he finished either, so yeah, it's sad to see from Latifi. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like Latifi, or he thinks that he's a bad driver or anything, but you know, in my personal opinion, he's better than at least what Robert Kubica was in 2019, though he did have a worse car, admittedly. Robert Kubica did have a worse car, because the 2019 Williams was, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen so far, the worst F1 car. Maybe you guys could leave in the comment section which car you think has been the worst F1 car in modern history. As I said, for me, it's got to be the 2019 Williams. For you, maybe it's a different car. Some people said in my stream that I had the other day that maybe they thought the 2021 Haas was worse than the 2019 Williams. I personally don't think so, but you guys can let me know in the comment section as well. Other than that, the midfield battles were pretty nice. It was good to see, I think it was Raikkonen. He finished in a decent position as well. He had a pretty good race considering the little contact that he had with Charles Leclerc as well. He was pretty much a dark horse actually, because no one really mentioned him, but yet he was putting in those laps, and he ended up getting a decent-ish position as well. And as I said, the Ferraris before, they had a really underrated race in my opinion as well. They were pretty quick last weekend, you know. I think they finished, what was it, 6th or 7th or 7th or 8th respectively. So I'm not sure exactly what the positions were, but they finished both in the points and both got decent points as well. So pretty good race with them. And then McLaren's, not much really to say. Lando's been just amazing this season. He's currently, again, still the only driver to have scored points in every single race, and his consistency, it just shows that he's definitely going to be competing potentially for drivers' championships in the future. Daniel Ricciardo, he's still not really been able to extract everything out of that car. He's still clearly struggling with it. I don't know what it is, if it's confidence, if it's maybe the car itself, if it's the tires that he's not really used to. I don't know what it is, but either way, he's not been performing, which is really going to put question marks at the back of the heads of some of the people at McLaren. Did they make the right decision swapping Carlos Sainz for Daniel Ricciardo? I believe that Carlos Sainz did leave of his own accord, but still, you know, they're definitely going to be starting to question themselves on whether they made the right decision with Daniel Ricciardo very, very soon. So hopefully he's able to pick up, but it doesn't really look like it at the moment. But other than that, yes, it was a decent-ish race in terms of a rating. I'll probably give it maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I think I'll stay with a 6. I would give the French GP probably a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10, whereas I'll give this one maybe a 6. So hopefully the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend will be a bit better than the Styrian Grand Prix. Okay, so briefly we're going to be talking about what I think is going to happen this weekend, and unless track conditions / weather conditions change drastically, I don't really see anything changing too much. I definitely think that Max is going to run away with it again. The Red Bull car is just super strong at this track compared to the Mercedes right now, so I don't really see them having a answer because of how little time they've had to prepare for it. So I definitely see Max running away with it again, so I think it's going to be another Max, Lewis, and then potentially either Sergio Sergio Perez or Valtteri Bottas on the podiums. Again, I think Sergio Perez is definitely going to get the podium this time, and Valtteri Bottas maybe be in 4th place with maybe someone like Lando Norris or maybe one of the Ferrari drivers in P5. So yeah, for the top 5, that's what I'm going to go with. As for the rest of the grid, it could be literally anything. You know, Pierre Gasly might not have the same situation happen, obviously, as he did last weekend, so you might see him roughly in the top 6 as well. He's been very strong this season, and especially at Red Bull, he definitely did have the pace. It's just obviously being very unlucky on that first lap, so I definitely see Pierre Gasly being amongst that sort of top 5, top 6 range if he can actually complete the race. As for everyone else, it could literally be anything. It's hard to really predict all of those stuff, so I'm just going to stick with the top 6. And yeah, in terms of actual like constructors, it's probably going to be Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, most likely in terms of that. So yeah, roughly about now we should be coming to the end of the race. I'll edit it post-production to make sure that everything syncs up well. We should come out to the end of the race, and as you can see, we finished in P9. So it wasn't necessarily a bad race from us. We did get stuck behind Gasly for quite a long time, and by the time that we actually managed to get past Gasly, it was too late to really catch up the guys ahead. So we were pretty much stuck in no man's land, and we did have that last lap battle with Vettel in the Ferrari there, and we managed to keep the position at least. So we finished in P9. We probably could have done a little bit better maybe if we gone past Gasly quicker. Who knows? We obviously can't really say anything about that now. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash the like button. As I said at the beginning of the video, it does help push the video out to more people who may want to see this type of content similar to yourselves. And I hope you guys stick around if you're new to the channel. We've been getting quite a few subscribers recently, especially from the Clips channel as well. So I want to thank you guys for subscribing, and I hope that you do enjoy the content moving forward, especially going into 2021. And I hope to see you guys in my next video.